suggestions that Iran will not wait to be attacked, but might even attack Israel first.
Really? Where'd you hear that?
That's a question I won't answer.
Reputable source?
Very reputable.
Did you hear about this story, this leak supposedly out of France about the government telling these French hospitals to prepare for mass casualties next year in 2026 because they're anticipating going to war against Russia?
There'll be war. So I think that rumor has legs to it. And those legs are supported by my friends in France.
Oh, they think the same things as well. And these would be people in the know?
I wouldn't have made the comment if they weren't.
You're watching CapitalCosm. My name is Danny. It is September 8th, 2025. And my guest today is none other than a returning Simon Hunt. Simon, thank you so much for coming back on the show, my friend.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Always a pleasure.
Yes. Likewise here, Simon. Let's just dive right in. What's top of mind for you? What's most topical for you right now? I mean, obviously, we've got so many things happening in the economy, in the markets, geopolitically. Where do you want to kick things off? Where do you think people should have their sensors pointed to right now?
Well, there's so many places where one could start, but I think the most important is what emerged from the SCO and the bilateral meetings in Tianjin and Beijing and the military parade.
I see. And so expand on that. What was so significant? What was the significance of those meetings? What came out of those meetings? What was the big takeaways?
I think for me, the biggest takeaway was the statement that President Xi made in his opening SCO address, in which he had 5 headlines. And the last one was the important one, which basically said, it's time for action.
Yep.
So what for me emerged was unity. Quite clearly, the Sherpas had done a good job of preparing the leaders. The body language was very positive. And I think an ultimatum has basically been issued. Either you, America, and your friends join us in a multilateral world, or else the world is going to be divided into 2 sectors. That, I think, was the basic message. So it is up to America, Washington, President Trump. Are you prepared to join a multilateral world? I find that difficult to accept at this juncture, but who knows? I suspect that it is more likely that before Washington is prepared to join a multilateral world, like most empires before them, they view victory as being the only thing that they can accept. So I think matters will escalate into a crisis before America is prepared to say, okay, we join you. So following on that theme, I think the delusional leaders in the EU3 will escalate the war in Ukraine by physically going into the country and with equipment supplied by America, of course, paid for somehow or other, more debt by the EU3. And I think that switching to the Middle East, everything I put together leads me to think that perhaps before the end of the year, we're going to see a new attack on Iran. Equipment, from what one hears, is being flown in continuously into Israel. We know that Iran is being supplied with new defense equipment from both Russia and China. Even suggestions that Iran will not wait to be attacked, but might even attack Israel first.
Really? Where'd you hear that?
That's a question I won't answer.
Reputable source?
Very reputable.
Interesting.
The premise is that in these various retaliatory strikes, Israel and Iran has still got one up its sleeve.
What does that mean?
Basically, it comes back to what Iran's foreign minister said. It's a waste of time negotiating with America. Our experience has been we negotiate and then they use the negotiations as an excuse to attack us.
What does it mean that Iran still has something up their sleeve?
Well, I've lost count of the number of attacks that Israel has made on Iran. Let's say it's 3. Mm-hmm. Iran has retaliated by 2.
Okay. And to further, going back to the SEO summit earlier last week, what you also saw was cohesion, not just with Russia and China, but also India, who had been isolated.
This is what makes it. I mean, you could see the photographs of the leaders of those 3 countries smiling, laughing, hand clapping. Mm-hmm. But it's very serious. I mean, for some time, Modi's done what I call a 2-step dance between BRICS and America. Now it's a quick step straight into the BRICS camp. So you've got the 2 biggest populated countries in the world converging with a third country that has the resources and the ability to defend themselves against any attack.
If India does,
the message was not that SCO/BRICS is going to attack you. The message was, join us, but if you don't join us, then we are going our separate ways.
Yeah, that was the message I got as well. And even in regards to the United States and the West as a whole, it wasn't like they were trying to telegraph that they were looking for a fight, but they were telegraphing that if you guys want to fight, we can go if you guys want to, but we don't want to.
That's what came out of the military parade. They showcased the most modern equipment.
Yep. And so
you want to attack us, watch out.
Yeah. We're not looking for a fight, but if you want one, we're ready for it.
Exactly. I mean, there was one, and I can't remember who told me, that China has developed unmanned submarines. And they work effectively. All tested.
Wow. From any distance, or like
I think long distance. I mean, enough to America.
Wow. And they would go largely unnoticed.
That was not in the parade.
Yeah. At least we couldn't see it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, at least it's our knowledge. What happens if India gets closer to BRICS between India and Pakistan? Does that conflict settle down a bit, or how do you anticipate that working out?
That's a very good question. Well, I look at it this way. You have Russia and India, very close partnership. You have China and Pakistan, very close partnership. So under this, and don't forget, Pakistan is a member of SCO.
Right.
And they were present. So I would have to think that there will be common ground found. Pakistan has done a lot of the CIA dirty work. In return, probably for financial help from America. But now, maybe it's China that's going to replace. Well, they already are to some extent.
Yeah, it wasn't a love affair to begin with. And this was admitted by the defense minister, I believe, in Pakistan. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Simon, we do have an emergency BRICS meeting between, I believe, Russia and Brazil ongoing today. I believe it's to talk about the tariffs. But before that, last night or a few hours ago, we did have this statement from, I believe it's one of Putin's advisors. His name is Kobyakov, and he had this to say about crypto. So let's go ahead and watch this clip and get your thoughts.
Америка прямо сейчас пытается поменять правила на рынке золота и криптовалют. Вспомните, какой у них долг. 35 триллионов долларов. В общем-то, это два альтернативных валютному сегменту мировых рынка. Действия Вашингтона в этом направлении отчетливо демонстрируют одну из главных американских задач. Они очень хотят решить проблему снижения доверия к доллару. США, как это было и в 30-е, и в 70-е годы, будут решать свои финансовые проблемы за счет всего мира, загоняя всех куда? В криптовалютное облако. Со временем, когда часть госдолга США будет размещена в стейблкоинах, США ценит этот долг. Еще раз простыми словами. У них сейчас валютный 35-триллионный долг, они его загоняют в крипту, в облако, обесценивают и начинают с нуля. Это для тех, кто очень любит заниматься криптой.
Yeah, so that's what he had to say about the whole crypto thing. Essentially,
Well, he's dead right, isn't he?
Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. But what is, you know, the capital markets are going to see through it.
Mm.
What is going to be the response from BRICS? At some stage, and I don't think it's going to be too far away, as this must have been a large part of the bilateral discussions, is BRICS is going to bring out their own currency. Whatever it's going to be, it will be supported by gold. One interesting sidelight on that is that the Shanghai Gold Exchange is building gold vaults in a few BRICS countries, including, I think, the first one I heard was in Saudi Arabia, so that China can buy oil from Saudi Arabia in their own currency, which there have been parcels done so far, which Saudi has converted into gold in the Shanghai Gold Exchange. But now, having a gold vault in Saudi Arabia to convert the CNY that they don't need into gold. I mean, there is Saudi, I think, in round numbers, there's a trade difference of $20 billion that Saudi has over China. But it's a differential that's narrowing because of the large exports from China to Saudi. So the difference, the differential, is held in gold, just as for some years that has been the case between Russia and China. There's a gold vault in the PBOC that holds the differential in gold.
Wow. And based off recent news as well, silver is getting a little love too. A couple of weeks ago, you had the Saudi Arabian central bank buy about $20 million worth of SLV shares. And of course, last year you had Russia open up its first ever silver reserve. Do you anticipate some institutional attraction, some central bank attraction to not just gold, but also silver as well? The week, and also one more thing, the week before yesterday, silver was officially added as a critical mineral into the critical minerals list by the Department of Interior of the United States. So do you anticipate silver also getting some action, getting in on the action here?
Well, I think basically the message that you're getting is that central banks don't want to hold paper assets.
Nope.
That's the big message. And silver going into the critical mineral list, just as copper has been.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, tell me if I've already told you this story. It goes back about a decade when I had a friend in Washington. Sorry, rephrase that. I had a friend who used to be an executive director of one of the large international financial organizations in Washington. And one day he said to me, and I'm going back 10 odd years,
Mm-hmm.
one day, Simon, there'll be $2.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a domestic dollar that is supported by gold. The offshore dollar will be allowed to find its own level. And our technical associate has the DXY at around 50 in 2028. So in dollar terms, that's a doubling in the gold price.
Right. And it's at 36.73 at the time of this recording, which is an all-time high, at least in terms. This is the futures price here we're talking about. So that would take you to around.
Sorry, was it 36.73?
Yeah,
Did you say?
36. No, it's up like $21 today since Friday. So it's made another all-time high. Silver's almost at $42, at 41.92 cents. Maybe by the time this video comes out, it'll be.
I'm going to be a contrarian.
Go ahead.
The Treasury needs interest rates down,
Mm-hmm.
refinance a lot of debt.
Right.
We have the 10-year Treasuries falling below 3% sometime by early next year. The implication is that there will be a vicious bear market rally in the dollar, which will take the DXY from around 98 to 103.
Mm-hmm.
These developments will probably push the gold price down to around 2,800 sometime before mid next year. Then you will get the next leg of the bull market starting.
I see. Well, why 2,800? I mean, why do you see a correction down on
That's comes out of the work of our technical associate, WaveTrack International.
I see. Hey guys, quick pause from the podcast, but this is something I feel is really important to let you in on. Back in 2020, before I even started this channel, I was looking for an edge, a way to find the big opportunities most investors never even hear about. That's when I found Capitalist Exploits Insider. From day one, it felt like I suddenly had my own team of world-class market pros working for me, digging up trades all over the world, doing the deep research, and handing me ideas that had massive asymmetric upside. Stuff that I would never even think about. Since then, my gains with them have blown past the S&P and the NASDAQ, and it's honestly the single best newsletter I've ever subscribed to. And that's not me blowing smoke. That's for real. I've interviewed their publisher, Chris McIntosh, more times than I can count. In fact, my latest conversation with him is linked in the description box down below if you want to check that out, as well as a pinned comment. And every time, I'm reminded why I've stayed a member for years. Right now, they're offering a special $1,000 discount on the Insider subscription, but it's only for CapitalCosm viewers, so you're only going to get it by clicking the link down below in the description box or the pinned comment. You're not going to find this anywhere else. Click the link, lock it in, and start getting the same game-changing research I've been using since 2020. But if you look at the most recent sell-offs and corrections, I believe the last big one was that Liberation Day sell-off. Markets went down, bond yields went up, but the gold price actually held steady and actually went.
Yeah, but this time I think the Treasury wants to go price down.
Oh, you think so?
I think so.
What about all this talk about revaluing gold and all this other
Yeah,
stuff?
that's the next stage.
So they probably want to accumulate.
They want to buy more gold.
Yeah, they want to accumulate one last time before they make the big announcement.
They want more gold.
I see.
I suspect that earlier on in this, when Trump became president, I think through the banking system, they were buyers of gold.
Mm-hmm. And they want one last swing at the plate before they
want more gold.
Yeah.
Before they revalue the Treasury's gold.
Interesting. Where do you? I mean, 3% 10-year yield. Who's going to buy all these bonds to bring the yield down?
I think American institutions, pension funds, etc., will be forced to allocate some of the percentage of their assets into the Treasury market. I think that's coming. Because it's very clear that the traditional foreign holders will be sellers.
And that's been the trend lately, hasn't it? The last several years.
Sure.
China's actually been selling off its treasuries over the last decade almost. You start to, I think
it'd be interesting to see what India does.
Yes, and you know what Zbigniew Brzezinski said, if we were to ever to allow Russia and China to join together, that would prove to be a fatal mistake on our part here in the West. Well, now they've not only pushed China and Russia together, they're potentially moving India into that same camp too.
Well, India is in the camp now, I think. All the messages coming out, the vibes, etc.
Yeah, I mean, this
That's
seems
why
like
I come back to the big takeaway from all of those meetings, which is we don't want war with you. We invite you to join us. If you don't want to join us, we go our separate ways.
Yeah, but you and I know it's not going to be that easy. It's not going to be as simple as going our
I know. So many entrenched positions anyway.
Yeah, did you hear about this? Did you hear about this story? This leak supposedly out of France about the government telling these French hospitals to prepare for our mass casualties next year in 2026 because they're anticipating going to war against Russia.
I'm having to be careful how I phrase the answer.
Sure.
I think there is a lot of truth in that.
Mm.
You can answer it a slightly different way. If France has peacekeeping troops in Ukraine, naturally the hospitals would have to be prepared to receive casualties. But the truth is, there won't be peacekeeping troops. There'll be war.
Mm.
So I think that rumor has legs to it. And those legs are supported by my friends in France.
Oh, they think the same things as well. And these would be people in the know?
I wouldn't have made the comment if they weren't.
Understood. Message received. So, given everything that we've just talked about, how do you navigate these markets for the next year or so? And what do you do?
You can only forget about long-term investment. We're entering a very fractured world. Long-term investment, either by companies or individuals, be very unwise to make them. Because by 2028, we're probably going to go into a very deep recession stroke depression, when asset values, paper asset values, paper asset values collapse.
Mm.
But providing there is no escalation of the wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, then we will have bull market in equities and base metals from the middle of next year into 2028. My fear is that we don't get that far, that the risk of the delusional leaders in the EU3 moving into Ukraine, supported by America selling them equipment, etc., is a very high risk, and in which case you will immediately have capital controls in Europe. What would capital controls mean outside Europe, given the interconnectivity of banks? So it won't just be Europe, it will be global.
Wow.
So what does that mean? It means that instead of having an inflation blow-off, we go straight into recession. Cutting interest rates, throwing liquidity into the markets, will that be sufficient to cause economic growth when you will have all of these issues within the banking system arising from Europe introducing capital controls?
But we don't see this recession. We don't see these capital controls until 2028.
No. You'll see, the risk is you're going to see capital controls before the end of this year. And America is in recession now. And Europe is tipping over. If you look at real money supply is falling. Real money supply, global and in America. And real money supply is probably the best leading indicator to economic activity.
And so if you're in Europe, I mean, the obvious answer is to leave Europe. But what about, are there any safe zones here? Because this...
So are there any what?
Safe zones, like any places one can go to kind of insulate themselves from? Because it seems like it's an interconnected conflict now. Like everyone's going to get some action.
Well, I think the safest zones would be Hungary and Slovakia.
Really?
I mean, they are reluctant members of the EU, and I think when push comes to shove, they'll shove the EU aside. I mean, they're not playing the Ukrainian game.
Mm-hmm. Now, is that with respect to the entirety of the world or just Europe?
Yeah.
I see. Well, and you're in Dubai, Simon. What about the Middle East? Granted, you're like in the middle of a big fight between Iran and Israel.
Well, obviously, I've thought about that a lot, and rightly or wrongly, the conclusion I come to is that Israel and the UAE historically have had very strong trade relations. And they're deeper than that. There's a large Iranian population. There's a large and very modern Iranian school. So I suspect that back-channel deals have been done. If America attacks us, Iran would say, we are going to retaliate not only against Israel, but against America. And this is Simon Hunt speculating. So we are going to attack America's bases in the Gulf, which includes UAE. But it will only be the American base, which is somewhere north of Abu Dhabi in the desert. And one hypersonic missile can do the trick without any massive spreading of damage. That's my take.
Understood. Well, Simon, before we wrap things up here, I have a question from our viewers on Substack. And a reminder, guys, if you want to support the channel, become a Substack member. You get the chance to ask questions to any of my guests. So this question comes from Grisha, and he wants to know, he says, we know that our global macroeconomic structure is based on perpetual expansion and growth. And we also now know that global demographics is heading for a peak population of about 9 billion people soon, with a permanent decline going forward very soon. Let's say 5 million year cycle, if you like. So considering that, will there soon begin a permanent decline in demand for food, energy, and all resources forever? Doesn't that suggest that our current economic structure that is based on expansion and growth is no longer fit for purpose?
That is a very good question, because demographics do define economic growth. The issue is that these are very long-term trends. What we're looking at is at most a 5-year trend. And I think one of the big problems that households are going to be faced with over the next 2 years are going to be food prices. The July this year FAO Global Food Price Index year on year rose by 7.6%. That is likely to rise significantly more because apart from falling exports of fertilizers, etc., from Ukraine and Russia, weather conditions, the massive earthquake that took place on the Russian peninsula in July has unleashed a trend that, if it continued, will cause one of the 3 coldest winters Northeast America has ever known in 50 years. Then you have to look at, on the longer term picture, the Beaufort cycle, which is around Greenland, where the cold, fresh water is locked behind the ice caps. But those are melting and is already releasing cold water into the Atlantic. That means, as part of the long-term weather cycle, that we're not in a warming climate. We are switching from warming to cooling. And NOAA said 2019, 6 years ago, in a blog that's been deleted, that we are actually moving into a cold climate. Then, just to add to the complexity, I've forgotten the name of the cycle, the 90-year Midwest Dust Bowl cycle is due to re-emerge next year. The Dust Bowl cycle, as the name implies, harvests hardly existed. Food prices are going to soar. So for individuals, keep your deep freezers stocked full of food. And if you have a garden, convert some of it into a vegetable garden.
And a follow-up question to this is, could this be the main reason why the global economy is starting to come apart now?
I think, because changing temperatures are a very important variable. So it's part of this fourth turning cycle that we're now in.
Right. And one last follow-up question. So is this now the time where humanity must create a new global economic model that will suit a permanently declining global demographic and subsequent demand?
To put those in place requires years. It can't happen at the toss of a coin. It's part of a long-term process. I come back to what we started by saying. Is America going to be prepared to join a multilateral world?
Probably not.
If they do, it's a better outcome than if they don't.
All right. Well, can't argue with that, Simon. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, my friend. Anything else you'd like to talk about and bring up before we sign off?
No, I think I've said it all. I mean, my big advice is food.
Yeah, we all need food, and that's
We all need food.
as you just laid out.
So prepare for. I mean, I did see that in the USA in July, vegetable prices rose 35% month on month.
But the CPI says,
oh, forget that. It's what you and I feel when we go and buy things.
Of course.
PPI is useless. As I said to you before, take the workings of the CPI back to prior to Arthur Burns in the 1970s, you come back with real figures somewhere between 9% and 11%. Last year, consumer spending was plus 3%. In real terms, what?
Yeah. Can't argue with that. Well, Simon, thank you so much for coming on.
Well, my pleasure as always.
Yeah. Where can people find you, Simon? What's the name of your website?
Simon-hunt.com.
Excellent. We'll have the link to that down below, so check it out, guys. And if you got value out of this podcast, drop us a like and comment "Go Simon Go" in the comment section. If you agreed or disagreed, either way, let me know what you thought. Let me know why you agreed or disagreed, and I will be replying to a few of the comments down there. So do let me know your thoughts, because I do read, and I do read every single comment first and foremost, but I will be replying to a select few. And then subscribe to the channel so you don't miss an episode. Liking, subscribing, commenting, doing all the YouTube stuff helps promote the channel, helps promote the video, and get this message out to as many people and help push us in the algorithm. So it may not seem like it, but a little bit does go a long way here, guys. So much appreciated for all of your help here. And again, if you'd like to become a Substack member, it's $8 a month or $80 yearly, but you get access to all my YouTube stuff pretty much the day that it comes out, or just about. And you get it early, ad-free. You don't have to suffer through the YouTube ads, and uncensored for the videos that warrant it. And of course, as we just saw, you get a chance to ask any of my future guests questions to be asked on these interviews. So with all that said, thanks for watching. I appreciate your time. I'll catch you later. Bye.